And we back. We black. We black. And we back. We back. We back. Yeah. What's good, everybody? It's your man CJKyles checking in once again, back with another show. We grinding over here. We are grinding over here. I saw a video this morning, and I wasn't gonna do a live today. I changed my mind about doing a live today, but I decided to do it because I think it's really important. Let me make sure my stuff is right. All right, I'm good. So on today's show, I'll be doing a reaction video. And the reason I'm talking so low is because it's early and I want to be conscious of my neighbors. What's going on, Shine? Appreciate you tuning in this morning. Appreciate y'all tuning in this morning. So today's show is called Pickmeisha Gets Picked. Pickmeisha Gets Picked. So I'm not the type that, YouTube has a space where this conversation or this talking point or this topic is brought up a lot. You see this within a lot of female spaces on YouTube, particularly black female spaces, with the whole Pickmeisha, pick me narrative. And I think it's just an interesting concept, to say the least, because from what I've gathered, a Pickmeisha or a pick me is a woman who throws another woman up under the bus or goes out of her way to look good for men to try to be picked. But isn't that the point? See, when I look at Pickmeishas, and I think that's a stupid term, but whatever. But when I look at the Pickmeishas of the world, they're usually the silent minority. Now you do have some that, who are the public figures or whatever, that go out, and I don't feel like they go out of their way to try to get picked. Men like women who are cooperative. Isn't that the point? And what's wrong with that? What is wrong with that? Like, he said women like that are intentional. Yes. See, this whole illusion of a girl code and sister girl, sisterhood code and all that stuff, that's an illusion. Because honestly, it's survival of the fittest out here. And the Pickmeishas, they're ahead of the curve. They are very intentional in what they want. They don't give a damn about what none of these other chicks are doing, because it's the ones who are not being picked. They are the loud, unchosen. You dig? But isn't that the point? Don't the winners pick the Pickmeishas? What man wouldn't want a Pickmeisha, someone who wants to be picked, someone who makes the chase just that much easier? Yes, you want to stand out from the crowd. Yes, she's gonna throw you up under the bus because she wants to be picked. This is a game, ladies and gentlemen. This is a game. It's not for play. It is survival. And yes, some women are playing to win, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them one bit. Shout out to Henry. Shout out to Shine. Say women like that are intentional. They chosen. They ain't playing that cat and mouse game. That's a whole fact. But I wanted to share this video because I think it's important to see how some people on the extreme end define what a quote unquote Pickmeisha is, right? Let's see. It's the wrong thing. Shout out. Let me see. Hold up. I gotta go back to it. Let me go to my other channel. Okay. Let me see. Here it is. So in this discussion on Lapeef, let's talk. And let me blow it up.
I don't think anybody's saying anything about that. I don't think anybody.
So the panel is having a discussion on the pygmies. It's called You Call Them Pygmies. Why women have a problem with other women winning. I think this is going to be interesting.
On this episode of
Let me stop the music.
Beef, let's talk.
Voice or a very unique voice. Like they don't have an assertive voice or an assertive personality, right? And they're in this space and they're innately in there. That's their feminine. That is their particular feminine. I don't think anybody's saying anything about that. I don't think anybody's mad about that. I don't think
you just called these chicks Pickmeishas. And you're telling me
the women.
No, you literally just said
no, listen.
Hold on.
Women that are
you just literally called them a pick me. You know that's the name that women have a problem
I'm not talking about women that are operating as themselves, being feminine, speaking on whatever they're speaking on. I'm talking about women that are pushing, specifically talking about other women. Like talking down on other women, those type of women that come into the space and are pushing. You women aren't cooperative enough. That's why you're not getting like there are women like that.
And what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Like, I've watched this video about 3 times, and when you realize that it's a game and that this whole illusion of this sisterhood, listen, this whole thing is only good for single women. And a lot of women don't want to be single. A lot of women are not cool with being single. You dig? You ever notice something? Women who are in successful relationships, they're usually quiet and they're in the background. Right? And we're going to continue the video. What's up, Japrice? When women are in happy relationships, they're usually quiet and in the background. It's the ones who are the unchosen, who are the hurt, who have lost in the game, who are victims of poor punani management. They're the loudest. Now, again, I don't know. I have no idea who any of these women are on the panel. I'm familiar with Kay, but I haven't seen any of these women on the panel. And it seems that the one who's arguing with Anton has a problem with the term, or with a woman throwing another woman up under the bus to get her man. And the ones that are in successful spaces with men, with successful men, the ones that are giving advice, they call them pygmies. But isn't that the point? Isn't that the point? Let's get back to the video.
You
are
called them a
like
Pickmeisha.
pushing those same 3 talking points.
You literally just called them a
chastising
Pickmeisha.
other women.
Kayla,
I want a cutthroat chick to fight for me.
It's hilarious. Why are so many women upset about the push for femininity?
Okay, so there's 2 parts that I have.
Oh, so you do think they are upset?
For the women, there are women. Listen, we're not all the same. Okay, there's no women. Okay, all women are different. Okay, so of the women that are upset about the push for femininity, I think that they're upset about it. 1, because it's rooted in change. 2, I think that I agree a little bit with Kay was saying in terms of like femininity is like there's this box of what femininity is, like even in certain rooms, certain spaces, even on our show, like femininity is rooted in the 3 things, and I wrote them down: silence, obeying, and allowing disrespect.
No, that is cap. That is cap. Femininity is not rooted in silence, disobeying, and allowing disrespect. And see, this is why we have to really be accountable of the choices that we make and the people that we pick as our mates. Because if a man is truly into his woman, he's not going to disrespect her. He's not going to tell her he's not going to walk over her like some doormat. Come on now. That's not how things are supposed to work. That's the things you just are used to. You dig? My woman gives great insight. If I'm slipping, my woman will say something. That doesn't make her, that doesn't put her in a box of femininity. But it's just the cats that y'all deal with, or maybe she's dealt with in the past. And maybe that's the reason, that's the reason she's feeling the way she's feeling, because never in my life have I said, oh, shut up. Your word doesn't matter. Your word doesn't count. I think a woman who trusts her man will follow his leadership, right? But it is crucial for a woman to have input and to bring some sort of communication to the table. Because if you got a man who's building and who's working hard all day, sometimes he may miss certain things. And that is his woman's job to be able to get the things that he can't see. And this is why I'm saying, like, we have to be very accountable of the people that we date, because when you make bad, and this is what I said last night, it's the women who have poor mismanagement of their vaginas. They get on platforms like this, and I'm not saying that's her because I don't know her, but I've noticed that it's the women who have poor management of their vaginas. They get on platforms like this and scream to the rooftops. Meanwhile, the women that are winning, that are playing this game to win, they call them pick-me's. Let me tell you something. Men who are working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, they don't want to deal with this whole masculine energy. They're not trying to compete. And that's what I think that a lot of these women that identify with what she believes, they want to be in competition with their dude. And no, he has to go out there and compete with the world. Why should he have to come home and compete with his woman? I don't understand that. I never have understood that. Let me see. Shout out to y'all for tuning in early. Let me see. Shout out to Merce Jackson in the building. Shout out to Sean. She the type of chick that dudes with money will smash and dash on. That's a whole fact. Merce Jackson said cap. Japri said, oh God, not the box. Merce Jackson said Target. Japri says it's not a box trying to make every woman the same, but there's a standard. We all know everyone is different and being in their own individuality. Some women have to be right all the time at all costs, no matter what. Roller Sean says facts. Shout out to Lady A all the way in London or in the UK. She says facts. All we want is cooperation. That's a whole fact. Right, CJ. Feminine women voice their concerns, and the man listens and secures the insecurities and concerns. At the end, women still follow because she trusts her man, and something fails. That's okay. That's what I'm saying. What's up, Uncle Stu? I appreciate it, sir. That's what I'm saying. A man who is in touch with his woman is going to take her insight into consideration. I get great ideas from the woman that I'm with. And let me tell you something. If you a man and you valuable, that woman gonna do everything in her power to make sure that you don't fall. Because if you fall, the house falls, and she don't want that. This is a game of survival. This is a real game of survival, and that is what some of these chicks fail to understand. You dig? Ain't nobody trying to rule over you with an iron fist. Now let me just be fair. There may be, I'm sure there are men out there that are trying to be tyrants. But with most dudes who are trying to get something going for themselves, that's not the case. That's really not the case. It's just a lot of these chicks have poor management of their vaginas. And that's a whole fact. You spent 5-10 years giving your vagina to somebody that was a tyrant. And now that's not. And now the women who are winning with their men. Listen, I go on vacation a lot. A lot. And you know who I see mostly when I go on vacations? I don't see a lot of single people. I don't see a lot of single women. I see a lot of women coupled up, happy in their femininity. This is why I'm saying the world of YouTube is a profitable illusion to the people that they can grab. Like women like the one that's talking, if she can get an audience big enough, she can become very profitable, because the real world and YouTube are not the same. They're just not. When you step out here in the real world, you will see that it's not so many of these chicks that's unhappy in these spaces. When I go on vacation, I see so many couples, majority couple. I don't see a lot of single people on vacation. I'm just keeping it real. I don't. I really, really don't. Let me see. Brawler Shine says, if she like you, she gonna support you. Merch Jack says 100. Uncle Stu on the block says, right. Many women with dudes as their very own. It says these women have been imprinted with an appetite for drama and toxicity. Chaos gets them excited until that chaos bites her in the behind. We had a discussion on my show maybe about 2 or 3 months ago where we were talking about why older men, especially older successful men, will choose younger women, because they haven't been as tainted as someone who's older. And that's not a slight at older women, but that's just the facts. If a man who's 40 gets a 21-year-old and she has not had the experiences of, let's say, a 30-year-old woman has had dealing with the dating space, that's why a man will go seek a younger woman, because she hasn't been as tainted. He can show her more things. This is why I feel like naturally younger women gravitate towards older men. You dig? YouTube, yes. Merce Jack said because they can be trained and tailored. And when we say trained, we're not talking about like dogs. But if I'm a 45-year-old man who has money and who's been places and who's been around the world, I can show a woman in her younger years that you don't have to deal with all the nonsense first. Right? That is why a lot of older men go for younger women. So let's get back to the video.
right? Allowing people to allowing men to mansplain, allowing people to talk over you, and you don't say anything, you just talk over you. You're silent.
See that she's dealing with a dusty. That's not what a man does. That's not what a man does. Mansplain and whatever that is. That's not what a man does. She's used to dealing with dusties, right?
And you say less. You don't talk as much. And you do what people, you do whatever whoever tells you to do if they're male. So I feel like that people that are
she doesn't like men. I mean, that's just she has an issue with men
that are upset about it. They're upset about that part of femininity.
What are you upset for, though? If you really a woman that's focused on attaining her man and attaining what you feel you deserve, you're not worried about what the next broad is doing. This is why the Pickmeishas are winning, because they don't care about what the loud minority is saying. They don't care. This is why they get picked. Yes, they're going to throw you under the bus. They're going to say this right here. This is what you don't want. Pick me. I'm a better fit for your vision, right? What man in their right mind would not want someone like that? This is a game. You are initially a salesperson, just like the man is a salesperson, right? I attain resources. I put in the work and I put in the hours to be able to get the resources. That attracts you to me. Not just that, but that is what attracts you. You're comfortable. You're secure. I'm selling myself to a point. Not that I'm selling myself, but those are the selling points. Yes, as she should. She should throw you up under the bus. Let's continue.
Being like the only part of femininity, when femininity is, if you want to look up all the traits, include sensitivity, sweetness, supportiveness, gentleness, cooperativeness, expressiveness, humility, empathy, affection, tenderness, being kind, helpful, and devoted.
Yes, that's femininity in a nutshell. In a nutshell. Everything she just named at that point, that's femininity in a nutshell. I don't see anything wrong with what she just said right there.
And some of these also go for men as well. But I'm saying
no. And this is the problem. She said some of these also goes for men as well. Men are not supposed to be feminine. And this is the problem. Shout out to Japri. She said something a couple days ago. A lot of women want men to be their girlfriends as well. No, it's not the same thing. Masculinity balances out femininity and vice versa. Yin and yang. Men are not supposed to be feminine too. It doesn't work. You have a feminine woman and a feminine man in a relationship, it's not going to work. Somebody's eventually going to become the masculine, and it's probably going to be the woman. That doesn't even make sense what she's saying. Let me see. Sean says, young honeys be looking for guidance. The older, the harder to mold her. And that's coming from a woman. That's Lady A saying that. Is Lady A a pick me for saying that? Huh? Is she a pick me for saying that? Well, she's probably going to get picked. A mansplaining feminist. He said, the old, the more stuck in their ways, the older. Uncle Stu said, this is true. I'm 54 years old. And yes, I can get the younger women. I have a woman who do not see past issues as many women I see. So I have a good one. I have a good one too. She has an issue with male authority. That's a fact. That sounds nothing like femininity. She is describing a doormat. Now, I will say we got to take some accountability for some of their effed up attitudes, because some of us were savages playing with their emotions. I'll give you that. But here's the thing. we all have to take accountability for the people that we picked. And I refuse to believe that a lot of these dudes that they were picking at such a young age were good guys. Not some, I mean, we got to be fair. Some may have put on the mask, but 9 times out of 10, half of these chicks got dudes when they was with other women. When they were with other women, half of these chicks were the side chick. Half of these chicks got the dude in a messed up way when he was doing things he wasn't supposed to be doing. And I'm not a hater, but I'm just stating the facts. Just stating the facts. Nothing on that list describes a man, man. That's a fact. Thank you, Japrice. And you said it a couple of days ago. A lot of these women want men to be their girlfriends. Lady A says there's a lack of basic understanding of masculine nature. Feminism has really convinced people that men and women are essentially the same, and we're not. And we're not supposed to be. We're not supposed to be. Let me go back to it.
The things like cooperative are the only things that people say. It's like everybody's talking point. That's all they say. Out of the list of traits is cooperative.
Whoa.
And not saying anything, silent. So hold on.
I just want to
See? I'm gonna
make sure you say those three things again. I forgot.
What women are upset about is the fact that part of femininity is the only thing that's being pushed when it comes to being feminine.
But when you have such a pushback against the men, how can they see any of the other traits that you have? If you coming at me with this whole masculine energy and you steady trying to compete with me, then how can I see the other feminine traits that you have? I don't want to compete with the woman I lay with every night. What am I competing with her for? We're on the same team. Women pick men that are sought out by many women, so that's why they get played. And she's wondering why she's single. I don't know if she's single or not. I can't speak on that. I'm just, because this is my first time seeing her, but I don't know if she's single or not. I think she's new to the panel.
And that men are not ever, there are no talking points about being sweet, about being warm, about being nurturing, those things.
Because it's hard to see when you busy being a man, when you busy being masculine.
It's just about, are you cooperative? Are you silent?
No, I've never asked a woman, are you silent? I've never asked a woman, are you silent? No. I think listen. Oh,
so I think that those are the talking points that people are upset about the people that are upset. The people that aren't upset
are the ones that's winning. Are the ones that's winning. The ones who are not upset are the ones that's winning. Y'all ever notice that when y'all go on vacation, and I keep bringing up vacation because that's what I do, but you ever notice when you go to an all-inclusive resort or a hotel, it's always you're paying for 2 people, right? You're usually paying for 2 people. And if you go by yourself, you're usually still paying the price of 2 people. It's not meant for it to be a one-person world. And that's just the case. And like I said, I see it all the time. There are not a lot of single people that go on vacations. And when I see these solo travelers, usually they wish they had somebody with them. For the most part, especially when I see women. For the most part. Now, you got some who are just happy by themselves, and that's great. But I'm just saying.
I think that they don't care. Like they don't care about that agenda of.
You didn't even answer the question
Because they're either getting the results they want, so they don't really care what y'all be talking about on social media, or they feel like they're on track to do so. So of those women, they just don't subscribe to the whole new the agenda because they're either married, got their man, they feel secure in their situation, and whatever they're doing is working. So that's the two sides that I want to speak on.
You didn't even answer the question. First of all, you talking
I
about
didn't
people.
answer the question.
You didn't.
Mm.
You said you talking about people. He said, why are women mad at other women? He didn't say people, right? So answer the question.
I answered the question.
Wait, let me finish because you didn't want me to overtalk you. Remember you told me to hold on? Thank you, Kayla. I appreciate your femininity. Can you please?
Look, that killed her. Ooh, yeah, she don't. Ooh, that killed her. Look at that look. That killed her. Let me get some of these comments. Let me get some of these comments. Merce Jackson says there's a time to be opinionated and there's a time to shut it down. I agree. A lot of these women give too much of the right love to the wrong men, and then they're depleted by the time they want to settle down. That is a whole fact. And that is why a lot of older men go for younger women, because they know a lot of the time that energy has been given to the wrong type of dude. And why do I got to spend time trying to remold that, rebuild that? I'm not a believer of building a wall another man is broken down. You need to build that wall up yourself, or tearing down a wall that another man has caused you to put up. No, I'm too busy for that. You need to do some healing yourself and fix that. I am not going to pay for the mistakes that his ass made. That is not my thing. I've never been into that. So until you heal, then go be by yourself and do the work that it takes to actually heal. A lot of people just jump from one situation to the next one. Sean says there's a lot of truth to that. Merce Jackson said, my wife knows the difference because she was taught by her mother. And my lady, like when my lady know I don't want to talk, she leaves me alone. And she knows it's nothing personal. You know what I'm saying? Like she knows. And when she needs her space, she gets it. Like, listen, relationships are not supposed to be complicated. That is something that the masses have promoted to the world to sell stuff. Relationships are not supposed to be complicated, but they know people are emotional. So they put it in music, they put it in TV, they put it in film. Relationships are not supposed to be hard. Like this struggle love, that's bullshit. You're not supposed to struggle love. Who says shit like that? Like that's crazy. I don't want no struggle love, because if you ain't struggling, it ain't real. That is the dumbest mindset I've ever heard. Let me see. All right, Japri says women need to realize that women talk too much, and most men can't focus on all that at once. Men focus on one thing at a time. The men on the panel forgot the first thing she said. Sum it up. I notice men don't intentionally cut women off. It's because it's hard for men to answer the question because it usually a word spill that women do. Let me see. Hold on. Let me keep scrolling down. I used to think my husband cuts me off, but it's because I'm talking too much without getting to the point, and all I need to talk about one topic at a time. Let me see. That's a good point. Maine says, LOL. Shout out to Chicago Rilla early in the morning. Chicago Rilla, I would love for you to chime in if you can, sir. I will send you the link right now. I got a little bit of time before I got to study. Let me see. I will put the link out. And that's not just for Chicago Rilla. If anybody else want to pull up, y'all can. Hopefully the trolls ain't up too early. Relationships, in my opinion, are supposed to be easy and fun. Yeah. Hello, I'm just joining. What's the topic? We're talking about Pickmeishas. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you being here. Oh, okay. Chicago Rilla on the road. Got you. Do your thing, bro. All right, let's get back to the topic. Let's get back to the video.
Can you please answer the question with regard to men being mad at other women embracing their femininity. Specifically, can you answer a question that I have about what exactly is femininity, not according to what you think other people think it is, but what your definition of femininity is, and then specifically what women have a problem with regard to that definition specifically.
Okay. So like I just said, what I was saying was women referring to other women. What I was just saying in terms of the women that are pushing these talking points are pushing those same three things that I just said: being cooperative, being silent, obeying, doing what they tell you to do. Like it's like low key like things that we push the children. Like don't speak unless you're spoken to. Like kind of the things that like you don't talk to grown folks. Talking like those talking points are what women have an issue with other women. I don't think that. I mean, if with women having issues with other women, a little bit of it is a little bit of Pickmeisha mixed in with some parts that are true. But sometimes the women that push this, like are like that's all they talk about, that are pushing that narrative, they are coming off sometimes a little bit Pickmeisha, and I don't.
Well, and see, if you were doing what you were supposed to do, focus on being what you're supposed to be focused on, you wouldn't be worried about those women, because those women aren't worried about you. Those women will cut your throat to get to their prize, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them. You dig? I don't blame them one bit. I'm trying to figure out. Let me see. I'm trying to figure out, why is it an echo? Why is it an echo when I play the video? I gotta figure that out. But she said, at the core of it, feminists hate anything that gives men pleasure, especially if it gives them no benefit. Boy, Lady A, the feminist, gonna be coming for your neck. Let me see. All right, let me go back. I wonder. Let me see. Let me go back.
Like wanting to get chose in a healthy way. I mean, like Pickmeisha, like I'm gonna put other women down in order to make myself seem more desirable. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the problem that women have.
No, I don't know what you're saying, because
they're saying like, you women that do this and do that, and you women that work, and you women that get these degrees, and it's like, why are you putting women down for having that to try to make yourself seem like you're?
But you're not answering the question, and I'm gonna tell you exactly.
I just answered the question.
Hold on, let me explain why. I was quiet the whole time. Again, thank you for being feminine, Kayla.
I just hate this shit.
Wow. Well, the anger. See, this is why I'm a fan of worrying about you. Because the anger, like, she looks angry, and I'm not trying to stereotype or anything like that, but she looks and she comes off as very angry. Now I'm curious of her relationship status, because I would love to see the type of man that she has. Because let me tell you something. Why would and I know the homie Kevin Samuel says this all the time, but why would a man with any self-worth, acquiring all the resources that he can, put up with that type of nonsense? Her thing was cooperation. That was her main problem. She said, all you want to know if she's cooperating, but you can't see the other traits of a feminine woman. If you won't even cooperate with me, how do I have the opportunity to see what other traits you have to offer as a woman? But you're not even willing to cooperate. What man in his right mind will pick that? A broke one? A man with no other options, nowhere? This is why young men should stay focused on their grind. And now I understand it. Because when you focus on your grind and you focus on yourself being the best version of you, a lot of this stuff is eliminated. A lot of this stuff, a lot of these problems are eliminated, because she knows when she talks like that, she knows that most likely you can't do any better. You dig? And when I say becoming the best version of yourself, getting in the best shape that you possibly can, never stop working on yourself, never stop, just never stop, never get comfortable. And I think that's a lot of the times too. A lot of things we tend to get comfortable, especially as men, when we get in a relationship. You know, she started cooking, she started eating good, you get fat, all that type of stuff. You stop being the guy that she fell in love with. You know what I mean? And I think that resentment grows. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. Hold on one second. I think I fixed it now. Wait, hold on. Lucky Chucky says, oh my God, it's a new generation of women, just like it's a new generation of men these days. Being married 20, 30, 40 years may be done. If I was 25 to 40 years old today, I would have to buy a graveyard to bury these folks. Oh, okay, Lady A. Uncle Stu. I didn't know y'all was going to pull up on a player. What's going on?
Well, first of all, let me just give honor where honor is due. I am very humbled that you allow me on your platform. So you have a great show, and I'm going to continue to, rock and support you.
Same to you, Uncle Stu. I appreciate you being here. I'm glad y'all pulled up. I know it's early. What y'all doing up so early? Lady A, I know it's like 2:00 over there in the UK, right?
Yeah, 2:45.
Oh, okay. See, I was almost had it. Well, thank you. I appreciate you pulling up on me.
I'm a retired brother, so I just run a business.
Okay.
So I got all the time in the world. But I think based on things that I've heard you say, things that I've heard you analyze, for me, I would say this is a teachable moment. I think a lot of men needs to understand how to vet a woman, how to understand the way she talks, how to understand the way she moves, and he would know whether or not this is going to be the right woman for him. Basically, for me, when I'm listening to a woman, I'm listening for her backstory. And what do I mean by the backstory? It simply means, has she taken any accountability for any actions or inactions that she has done in her past? Example, if she's willing to admit that certain relationships she has had, she played a part in it, then that's a woman that's taking accountability. But if she cannot sit here and identify areas where she has made mistakes and errors in relationships or any form of accountability, this shows me a lack of immaturity. And so when you have immature women, a lot of brothers don't know how to decipher or discern that immaturity. So what you have just discovered and just done is really teach other men how to vet a woman properly. Very good job, sir.
Well, I appreciate that, Uncle Stu. I'm no expert. I'm no relationship guru. Don't plan to be one. Don't want to be one.
Right.
But I just I do go by what I see, and I do go by what I want. And I've never been the type of dude that wanted that kind of energy around me. I'm a big energy person, and if I see a woman with that kind of energy for no reason at all, then I don't want to deal with that. Shout out to Japrice and Merce Jackson who just jumped in. Let me get to Lady A. Lady A, what's cracking?
Hey everybody, how you doing?
Good.
Good.
The brother who just spoke, he made an amazing point. This is a great teaching moment in terms of vetting women. I think even a lot of Black people who were raised in the West, I'm not really talking about Africa, some parts of the West Indies as well is quite patriarchal, but we have a very strong matriarchal mindset when it comes to African Americans and some West Indians as well. Like, the mother can never be challenged, the mother can never be criticized, and anytime you want to say something remotely critical, you're accused of being judgmental or unloving, and that's a way to silence the conversation. It's like two things can be true at the same time. You can love your mother because that's something that I speak about a lot on my platform. You can love your mother, but you can also accept that in certain areas she made a mistake. And going back to the concept of imprints, the first imprints we have are our parents. So if a man is used to being with a domineering, overpowering woman in the form of his mother, he's going to gravitate towards that and find it very hard to push against that or challenge that as an adult man. And so it's really important for men to understand it's okay to reject those kind of women. It doesn't mean subconsciously you hate your mother or something. Sorry, I'm out and about, so if you hear noise in the background, it just
You
is you
good?
having enough, as you said, being sensitive about the energy and what you're bringing into your life. And these women have a real issue with pick me's because these women are doing something that maybe they're not capable or even willing to do, and seeing other women just naturally deriving pleasure from seeing men happy, it hurts them because that's something that they don't have.
Mm.
Can I just add to what she said? And
Well,
I
real.
think that's a key word. Identifying the difference between a woman who is independent minded versus this type of a woman. See, a lot of times it's identified as strong black woman. You see what I'm saying? So they'll try to give it a label as a strong black woman, but this is not a strong black woman. So we need to be able to properly identify what it is we're seeing. Because the minute you say, well, this isn't a strong black woman, this is this type of woman, you get the pushback. No, that's a strong, independent woman. So we also need to make sure that we can figure out what's the difference between a woman who has an intellectual thought versus an aggressive woman of this caliber. So yes, I love what she had to say, and I'll be quiet to let the rest of the panel speak.
No, you good, Uncle Stu. Japrice. Well, good morning.
Good morning.
What's going on?
Nothing. I'm just up. It's 6:50 a.m. here. So
Damn. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
y'all
couldn't
three
sleep. I
hours
was up all
behind us.
night. So I'm just
What you think about what's going on?
yeah, it's kind of it's like it's almost kind of hard to watch. It's very like repetitive, and we see a lot of conversations like this, and they go this way, and it's always the woman being um confrontational, and unfortunately it's always the black woman.
Mm.
um it's like it's how do you call it, like predictable. And I just wanted to like I believe she is doing like a lot of word spill. A lot of us women, we talk too much. And sometimes we may have answered the question, like he said, you didn't ask the question. She feels like she did, but it was just a bunch of word spill. Like, sum it up, get to the, just say, get to your point. Because by the time you say your first point, you done said like about 20 different things, and it sounds like you didn't answer the question.
Mm.
So that's just my little spill.
Oh, you good? Okay. Merce Jackson, what's going on, sir?
Hey, what's up, y'all?
What's up, man? I'm
Yeah,
surprised you
man.
ain't at work right now.
I actually am, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, I'm on break right now. Yeah, I gotta get to the
Okay.
bag. But I definitely liked what pretty much everyone has said on the panel. And I think family dynamic does play a huge role in how specifically our community, right? Because we know that a good percentage of homes don't have fathers in them, and therefore the mother has to be masculine, and that's what's taught. And I find it that women that come from a two-parent home, regardless of culture, religion, or anything like that, is that they have more of a balance and understanding of what it is to be more submissive, or when to turn it on and when to turn it off. And I think the majority of that is taught at home. And unfortunately, um, well, my mother was a single mother until I was 11. And one thing that I've noticed is that she stayed in her parameters when she met my stepdad.
Mm.
And when I saw that, that's what I began to look for in a mate or in my wife. And my stepdad says all the time that, yeah, you chose your mother, literally, because that's what you were in the house, that's what you expected from a woman. You know what I mean? So I think family dynamic does play a huge role in what we're seeing in our society today.
Mm. Yeah, that's real talk. That's real talk. I appreciate that insight. If y'all don't mind, and if y'all, whenever y'all have to dip out, go ahead. I'm not putting anybody out, but if y'all don't mind, I'm gonna play the other part of the video. Um, and once again, I appreciate everybody being here. So if y'all can mute y'all mics, and I'm gonna mute mine. Now it's
You're making the argument about women.
You said, why are women upset with other women?
No, specifically, why are women upset with other women embracing femininity? You spoke about it from the opposite perspective, right? You spoke about it from the perspective of a woman that is already winning, right? She's embracing this femininity, right? I don't see a woman that's complaining that's embracing her femininity, right? Those are not the women that are complaining. You spoke about it from the opposite perspective. You didn't hear what you just said?
I heard what I said. I literally
you want me to
heard
break
what
it
I
down
said.
further so you understand how you
that,
answered it?
okay.
I wanted to stop it right there because I think Anton said something that was very critical. And I said the same. I've been saying it since the beginning of the broadcast. The winners are not complaining. The women who are winning, the women who are in relationships, the women who have secured a mate, a partner, a husband, they are not the ones complaining, especially if they have a man who is willing to put in the work and provide. They're not going to complain. Why would they? They're not going to tell the world that, oh, well, he ain't doing this or he ain't that. Absolutely not. That's not how this works. And like I said, YouTube in the real world, it's crazy to see how YouTube creates a fantasy world almost, or like a world of illusion, because that's not the real world. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I feel like the ones who are losing, they just talk the loudest. Um, what do y'all think? What do you think, Uncle Stu?
Sure. You have to realize that winning women aren't going to be online because they have nothing to talk about. You feel me?
Yeah.
Most people who are consumers of information is looking for something. So either you're going to be the platform that's going to give them what they're truly looking for, or they're going to go to the platforms that's going to solidify who they are. So what do I mean by this? uh let's just take your platform. If a woman is looking to understand why she is still single, then she has to consume your content to understand why she is still single, and then be able to be willing to put in the work. But if a woman is hurt and bruised, and then she finds another woman that's going to tell her that it's the man's fault that she's hurt and bruised, and that makes her feel good, guess what? She's going to consume that content. So what you're really seeing is you seeing people who are basically giving bruised people more bruising. And if you want to start a platform, what's the highest grossing platforms? It's the ones that's doing nothing but abusing and accusing, but no one is talking about healing and solutions. So once you put that word accountability into the mix, you might as well forget that you're going to have a platform. If you say, hey, let's hold this accountable. When you base the conversation, Antoine made the reference, embracing your femininity. When a woman understands that the embracing of femininity is a strength and not a weakness, she would understand that there's a lot more power in femininity than she could ever imagine. But you live in a culture right now that is telling her that femininity is weak and not strong. So if you have that dichotomy coming out of the colleges, coming out of the high schools, and coming out of, above social media, this is what they are being socialized to believe. This is why now there's this new term, toxic masculinity. They put the word toxic in front of masculinity, but they don't put the word toxic in front of this femininity stuff. Why? Because they want you to be socialized into believing that anything that represents a baritone-based voice, a little bit of muscle, speaking with articulation and authority is evil. It is bad. It is the most worst thing in America. But see, I always ask women right now, if what you say is true in these last 25, 30 years, because if it's true, then explain to me why you have average African-American boys reading at a third grade level. If what you say is true, why is the prison population still continue to rise if you allegedly got the answer for everything? And by the way, who are these boys being raised up by that's going to prison? So we have to begin to put the empirical evidence in front of everyone. And at the same time, we as men who is winning on our purpose, keep on winning, keep on doing you. In the last 30 years, in my generation, you can count 5 black millionaires. In this generation, you can count them on too many hands. You need several hands to count the millionaires. You got a larger black middle class population. But who is YouTube trying to get to?
Right.
Most content creators ain't working in the middle class section. They're working on the lower class section. So, and sometimes you got to show the truth behind the lie, because there's more money made from poor, ignorant people than there is middle class, rich people.
Cool. Yep. Yes. Lady A, let me ask you, why do you think it's a problem and it triggers a lot of females when they hear embracing your femininity? Why is that such an issue? What is that doing to their psyche to make them just go off like that? What do you think?
I think for a lot of women, they understand like that ship has sailed. Okay, it's nice to say embrace your femininity, and people can change, people can grow, people can evolve for sure. But a lot of the time, once you reach a certain age, who you are is who you're going to be. And when you hit, when women hit embrace your femininity, and I want to build on what Uncle Stu said, it's like these women are going against their nature. And now, to be honest with you, a lot of them are confused. They don't really understand what embracing femininity means, because a lot of them, like he said, perceive being feminine as weak. They call things like submission slavery, and you have to be a doormat. And even the lady, Kayla, she alluded to the pick me is a person who puts down other women, is basically male identified, and doesn't have a voice. And she had a problem with all of those things, even though that's not really what a pick me is. And so for a lot of women, they understand that this is how they are. And the concept of embracing their femininity either scares them because they think it's weakness, or they understand they just can't do it because they've lived in this masculine way for so long. And they don't want to hear that the way you've been operating, it's not going to get you the result you claim to want. But if you know that you can't change, or if you feel like you can't change, it's almost like a death sentence. So a lot of these women, they really have an issue with the idea of embracing femininity, because they just understand femininity is something that's supposed to be groomed into you from childhood. From you're a very small girl, you're supposed to be raised to be feminine, to be girly, and to develop that skill set. Okay, but as Uncle Stu said, it's socialized out of Western women, and they have a conflict in their nature. They have a confusion because they want to adopt a lot of more masculine behaviors, but it goes against their internal nature, and it also is not giving them the results they think it should. So it's a lot of work that needs to be done there.
Do you find that it's similar to your part of the world, with the women not embracing the femininity and having such a problem with being feminine?
I think it's becoming more pervasive. I'm seeing, because here in the UK, black people haven't really been here en masse for that long, maybe like 70 years at this point. And a lot of people are coming from places where they have strong culture, where there is more of a traditional gender role. So I'm starting to see more of the younger generations adopting very liberal ideologies, and they're starting to kind of drift away from the traditions of their home countries. it's still stronger, but it's definitely getting weaker, and that's like across the board. So it's here, but it's not as intense because we haven't had so many generations of basically this kind of, even though feminism really started very much here in the UK, but because as Black people we haven't been here that long, we still have grandparents and older generations who are more traditional. So yeah, it's here, but it's amongst, I would imagine, amongst the white culture, definitely it's very strong because a lot of
Mm.
them are not necessarily rooted in faith or anything like this. So they are very heavily indoctrinated with the feminist propaganda, and the younger generations are picking it up a lot more, but the older generations are still a bit more traditional.
Mm. Okay.
And you
Priest.
got to remember, she said something that we can equate right here in America.
Hold
She
on.
said it was the
Before you
white.
go, Uncle Stu, let me
Oh,
get to
I'm sorry.
Japriest. No, you good. Let me get to Japriest. Japriest, I wanted to ask you, you are a married woman. You are a housewife. You're raising your family. Your husband works to go pay the bills. Um, women like you tend to not talk as loud on the internet. And the women that are winning, what are your thoughts when you see these women that are hating so much embracing femininity?
Um, I believe that it has a lot to do with like that inner child trauma in the wound that it has not been patched up. I think it starts from um, since they were a child. Like Lady A was saying, I don't want to be repetitive, but
No, you good.
basically exactly what she was saying. It's they aren't getting the outcomes, so they start to resent the things that the very things that they want. Um, that's all I could say.
Mm. I feel you. No, no problem. Merce Jackson. Let me ask you, sir. Do you feel like the winners, the ones that they are calling Pickmeishas, do you feel like those women are the quiet majority? What do you think? Oh, let me see.
To be honest, I think so. It's
You breaking up, Merce Jackson.
a temperament,
Can you repeat that? You were breaking
and
up.
that's across the board. That's
Hold on, I think
say
he's
that
having some signal issues.
because
We can't we can't hear you, Merce Jackson. You breaking up.
you have the same thing on the other side. Usually, men who are not where they want to be, or see somebody that's on their ground. The people who are quiet. It's the same thing in grade school. He had to do. Whereas the class clown was the last.
Mm. All right. All right, Merce Jackson. You went out again. Okay, well here's what I'm gonna do. Uncle Stu, I'm gonna let you go, but before you go, I want to finish the last part of the video.
Okay.
I want to finish the last part of the video. So, like I said, if anybody got to drop off, I know y'all busy and it's early. Feel free.
Again, I don't think that any women have other issues with women that are embracing their femininity. Because if you're doing that, then that's just who you are. That's just how you.
That's
move.
exactly my point.
And,
so if a woman is not,
but women love other women like
another
that.
woman,
They just
if
don't
a
like.
woman is not having a problem with another woman embracing their femininity, then what are you talking about?
Because
okay, so the question is, why
when
are
there's
women
someone,
mad at women
that's speaking in a space, there's someone that's speaking in a space that's innately feminine, and they have like those more feminine things, like maybe a very soft voice or a very meek voice, like they don't have an assertive voice or an assertive personality, right? And they're in this space and they're innately in there. That's their feminine. That is their particular feminine. I don't think anybody's saying anything about that. I don't think anybody's mad about that. I don't think
you just called these chicks Pickmeishas, and you're
I'm saying the women.
No,
I'm saying
literally just said
that. No,
Pickmeishas.
listen. The
thing hold on.
Women that are
you
going
just
out of
literally
their way,
called them a pick me. You know that's the thing that women have a problem.
I'm not talking about women that are operating as themselves, being feminine, speaking on whatever they're speaking on. I'm talking about women that are pushing, specifically talking about other women. like talking down on other women, those type of women that come into the space and are pushing.
You just did it.
You women aren't cooperative enough. That's why you're not getting,
You
like, there are
just
literally women
did
like
it.
that.
You
That are
called them a
like
Pickmeisha.
pushing those same three talking.
All right, Uncle Stu, let me ask, what are your thoughts about the last part of the clip that you just saw? You muted, Uncle Stu.
You know, I see this a lot just in general lifetime. When you're trying to do the same thing over and over and you're not getting the results, instead of changing your ways, you complain about everybody else. And so you want to become, the antagonist. She's looking for a result that I'm assuming she is not receiving. So she's making justifications behind why she's not receiving it. She wants to be at a certain level and she's not getting respected for that level. So it's better to complain about it. If I just use even on the male side, let's just use that softly. You got a man that's not getting a woman, so he'll just blame women for why he can't attract a woman, as opposed to looking in the mirror at himself and figuring out what maybe his flaws or maybe his mannerisms or whatever those things are. For her, she's not getting the results that she's looking for. So she's blaming other women for not being a part of her circle, as opposed to the women that are winning. The women that are winning doesn't have a problem, not being able to be, when they come with a thought, the way I look at it and the way I've experienced it, if I'm getting ready to make a certain type of move or certain type of thing, she's not going to dominate where I'm going. She'll just give me advice on something maybe she see, or she might say, well, we can do A, we can do B, but have you looked at C and D? And at the end of the day, it's my job to look at C and D, but still make the final decision. And I don't see her as a woman that wants to do that. Again, it's just a lot of complaints and a lot of, I think I heard the terminology salad words or something in that regards, just a lot of words, but there's no actions. So she doesn't really speak from authority of a woman. She's speaking from intellectuality, and it's two totally different things.
Let me ask Lady A. Lady A, from the attitude that, I hate to say that word, but from the attitude that this woman is displaying, what type of man do you think would deal with that or would allow a woman to act that way in his presence?
You see, this is why I don't like you, because you ask me these questions because you want me to be cancelled. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing, because you know what I'm going to say. There's only one type of man that's going to deal with this nonsense. Combative every day. That is an effeminate beta male. Come on. Stop it. A dude who is passive, a dude who says yes dear a lot, who believes in happy wife, happy life. I'm my woman's cheerleader and support system. The guy who has, jelly for a spine. That is the guy.
Jelly for
Because there's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with a woman being assertive, and again, it's like we all have masculine and feminine energy. And if you are a woman who goes to work or you have a business, you're going to have to obviously employ more masculine traits to make the business successful. Aggression, competitiveness, and things like that. These are typically masculine traits. But when you come home, you're supposed to leave work at work and you drop back into your feminine support role and your man is the leader. But if this is how she's operating at home all the time, only a man, because as you said earlier, even if you have two feminine people in a house, eventually the woman will probably dominate. So if she's masculine, he's gonna drop down into his feminine. And
I was gonna ask you, do you think these women pick these men on purpose?
No, or I'm gonna
some of them do, yeah.
Can I add a different man?
Go ahead.
I've seen this often. Or you got two of them that act the same way. So they're operating in their chaos.
Mm,
Meaning, a family where you always see them fighting. They get drunk, they fight, but they love each other.
True.
mm,
You
Dysfunction
get
is
what I'm
their
saying?
normal default setting.
Right, right. So you see a dynamic where you see chaos operating as normal, is abnormal to us, but it's normal to them. Especially if they grew up in an environment where the husband and wife was always fighting. That's just how they communicate. They just fought.
mm. Caprice, let me ask you, why do you think a woman would knowingly get with a man who would allow this behavior, even when she knows that she's going to end up resenting him at the end of the day?
I'm not for sure. I'm not for sure why. Well, it's because that's the only maybe the only men that she attract, um, which are usually like users and abusers. Someone that will play the game with her, someone will act like these are the men that quote unquote play with their emotions, and then they get all upset because of how she acts. And these are most of the men that they're going to attract, and are going to attract a good valuable man acting that way. Um, and to answer your question prior to this question, going off of the ending of the video, women like her are the reasons why women that are the quote unquote pick me's are quiet. Because this is like, I mean, I've seen worse, but these women are almost like bullies. Like they always say that men are this and that, but the women are nastier. They have we have tongues like swords, and we can either make or break a person. And I remember speaking about this whole movement in 2016 on to now. And I was like totally crucified by women, like just, oh my God, like to the point where now I don't say anything anymore. I'm just quiet, because I feel as though, it's too late. We're doomed
Mm.
unless we just wiped away and the whole human race just, or the Western world human race just, gets rebuilt. But I just am quiet now because I feel as though I used to cry and I used to get my feelings hurt a lot. And then my husband would like, just don't say anything, don't say anything. Um, because we got married in 2019. So then I was still like posting stuff and talking about it and stuff. And it's like, just like, don't make any more stuff, because it was like almost like abuse. And it was just like coming from women, and they talk about don't put women down, don't put, but they're doing the exact thing that they quote unquote the sisterhood that they are so opposed to. So
Mm.
yeah, this is why the quote unquote pick me's or the winners supposedly are quiet, because this is abuse, and most of the times we're busy nurturing our families, so we don't have time for that.
Yeah, like, yeah. Merce Jackson, what are your thoughts on the ending of the video? I don't know if you got to see it, but if you did, what are your thoughts on the ending of it?
I kind of caught a little bit of it, so I can't really speak on what the video was saying. But the
Okay,
gist of
well,
the
I'll just
video
ask you
was,
this then. Um, why do you think a man would allow or be with a woman in this way and allow the disrespect and allow her to just allow that kind of disrespect and not allow her to be in her feminine? Why do you think it's so many men that are in their femininity right now?
Mhm.
Um, why do
um,
you think that is?
for one, I 100% believe that you attract what you are.
Mm,
So, and if a woman's more alpha or more masculine, she's gonna be drawn to somebody who's more beta because she's able to control, manipulate, or what have you. And I think that's across the board. A masculine man is gonna be more attracted to a more feminine woman, just because of those. I just believe that you track what you are, not what you want. Yeah, you want a high value man. Yeah, you want a feminine woman, but the real tall tale is what you're attracting. If you're constantly attracting bad guys or what have you, then that's a testament to who you are as a person. You can
mm,
only get what your level is. So if you want to get something better or higher, then you have to raise your elevation or your vibration in order to attract that in which you want to be
Hmm.
congruent.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, I guess I'll go around and see if anybody has some final thoughts, maybe some advice. I'll start with Lady A, all the way from the UK. Go ahead, Lady A. Anything you want to add before we
Yeah,
end
I
this?
mean those were some great points at the end. Uncle Stu brought up a really good point about the attraction and dysfunction to dysfunction and chaos. Again, it goes back to upbringing. What we are raised in, it becomes the imprint and the blueprint that we go out and take into the world. Some men are effeminate or more passive because they grew up in an environment where they were always being silenced, they were always being dominated by other people. That's kind of like their default setting, and that doesn't make them bad men. And I wouldn't necessarily encourage a passive man to be with an overly domineering woman, because he may end up resenting her because she's always trying to emasculate him because he's less, aggressive in that respect. And the sister, I'm sorry, I can't remember her name, but I wanted to say she is so right about, if you are a more soft woman, which I'm not necessarily that, but I have witnessed it, you have more aggressive women trying to taint these women. And it could be partly because these women see them as a threat and competition, and they actually want to sabotage more feminine women so that the
And it
competition
could be
is less for
partly
them.
because these women see them as a threat and competition. Oh, okay. All right. Um, Let me see. Uncle Stu.
Yeah, just to let you know, Lady A, I just subscribed to your channel.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
you're
Shout out
very
to
welcome. So, I definitely will be reaching out to you as well. And I know Japrice, I've been on panels with her, and she's a very beautiful, soft spoken woman. So, I can understand when you don't want to always have to state your opinion and then be attacked like you're the animal or the enemy just for having a voice. Um, and because she doesn't follow what would be considered the sociological norm, yeah, she's hated. She's a wife. She's handling business. She's not out there beating up her husband publicly or privately. And this is for some people abnormal when in fact it should be recognized as the norm. So, Japrisa, I always got your back and love you, girl. You keep doing what you're doing because you're going to get the better outcome. Um, I think it's all been said. I don't think I can really add any more to the conversation. I think you said great points. Everyone said great points. Now we see if anybody's going to put the action to the things that they say.
All right. All right, Lady A, before you go, can you promote your platform, please? If she haven't left, all right. Lady A.
I think she left
Sorry,
because
I'm
in the
getting a
bottom.
call. I didn't hear
Oh,
what
okay.
you said.
I said before you go, can you promote your platform? I think she's getting a call. Japrice, any last words that you wanted to add before we wrap this thing up?
Um, I just want to
So now
say
I know what it
thank.
feels like when somebody calls you in the middle of a live stream.
Oh,
Sorry, could you say that again for me?
okay. So I was gonna. I thought you were about to go, so I was gonna have you promote your platform.
Yeah, I am the antisocial socialite. I'm a crazy British lady. I talk about a variety of topics, including love, relationship, Christianity, trending topics. There's a little bit of gaming in there. It's just whatever. I do live streams as and when I can, and so there is no fixed time. But if you hit the subscribe button, and obviously if you click the notifications to all, every time I do an upload, you guys will be informed.
Alrighty. My bad, Japrice. But like I said, did you have any last words that you like to add?
I just want to say thank you, Uncle Stu, for your kind words. That's very much appreciated. Um,
Well,
Not necessarily. It was like a small comment that I made. I think in the comments, like
Good.
that those women get used for free. I call it free cookies.
Yeah.
So because I believe that um, growing, or like a male or growing into a man, or a man growing into his manhood, they need to practice, and those women are usually the women that they practice on.
Mm,
So
Mm.
yeah, so
good point.
it doesn't benefit these women to be this loud and obnoxious and assertive. Um, I've never heard that. Let me see. I've never heard any woman in my family describe themselves as being assertive. I've usually hear that from men. So when she said that, I'm like, so like this, their ideology of what a feminine woman is, or just a woman, period. Like I shouldn't have to tell someone I'm feminine. That should just be, a woman by nature. But nowadays, you have to actually, um, how do you call it? You actually have to be loud about being feminine, because it's so hard to differentiate the women of today's society. Um, everybody looks pretty. Most women have these, what do you call them? Their their bodies done and stuff like that. And they appear to be, but once they open up their mouth, you see that they are totally opposite. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, but thank you so much for
Yeah,
inviting me. Well, accepting me. I was
yeah.
up, and so I was like, let me just.
Anytime.
I was so shocked. I was so shocked to see that you were actually doing a live stream this early. So that was really
I had
great.
no plans to do it. But I came across that video and I said, well, I don't have to do much today. I mean, I'm gonna study later because I probably won't do anything later tonight. And I said, let me do something in the morning to get this content in. But you made a point though. And I want to ask you a question since you're here before we go. It seems as though when a woman is when she displays the traits of being a softly spoken woman, but a woman who can give her opinion, but she's beautiful at the same time. The women who are really upset at the pick me's, they're really mad about that because she's pretty on top of being and embracing her feminine. And I think that is where a lot of the problem lies, because if you see a lot of these women with the attitudes and stuff like that, they usually are the women who don't look like women for the most part. And I'm not saying this woman on the panel, on the Lapeef panel, doesn't look like a woman. I think she's pretty. But when you see women who are very upset about being feminine, they usually look like men, butch, um, very masculine looking, hair not done, get on camera looking any kind of way. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of a lot of their anger has to do with the women that are very feminine also being beautiful on top of that. What do you think about that, Japrice?
Yes, I totally agree. I remember hearing my father say, like, let me kind of sum it up. Basically, a woman can be pretty on the outside, but as soon as she opens her mouth, she can become very ugly.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that the way they're talking, the way that they're just so angry and masculine within their attitude, it makes them even less attractive, you know. Um, Especially if they're not very natural looking, and they have like the wigs and the super duper uh he she makeup and all that stuff. But I totally agree with you. It's usually those kind of women, or what I see, I haven't quite yet seen any of the women that look like, like butch or bull daggers or something. Something, but
Bull
I
dagger.
s-
That's a old
my
school.
I got this from my grandmother. She always says bull daggers. So I haven't seen those kind yet. Well, let me not say I have, but the majority of the women look like, almost like, that are opposed to this femininity and are so upset, are the ones who look like trans. Yeah, that's the word.
Mm, yeah,
They just look totally just like, you know,
for the
how,
streets.
yeah, just
Hmm.
totally just out of order. Like they don't come from any home training, or they didn't have any structure in the home. Those are the ones that usually are the ones that are so upset. So I totally agree with you, CJ.
Uncle Stu, I think a lot of women don't realize. I think well, some of them don't realize that you know you're going. These women are mad, and like I said, I'm not the type to beat up on the surgery crowd or whatever because I feel like if that makes you happy, then do what you do. But I see a lot of women going out of their way to enhance their bodies, um, and to look a certain kind of way to attract, in my opinion, attract a certain type of man, realizing that the woman they usually end up marrying and ending up with is nothing like that. You dig what I'm saying? Like
I
the
do.
woman they usually get with is usually like naturally beautiful, not with the boobs all over the place and a huge hydrogel asses everywhere. I think a lot of these chicks don't realize that yes, men will sleep with you. And a lot of them get that confused for being picked. And I think a good a combating word to the pick me is a not you. Yeah, he's not gonna pick you. Not you, not you, not you. We rock with the pick me's if that's what you want to call them.
Hmm.
So what do you think, Uncle Stu?
Well, this is where this is really where I'm going to say there's a generation gap. So I'm still studying the social dynamics of it. Um, a lot of stuff that I'm seeing is a 20, 30 something situation. Um, so it'll be hard for me to put in my thoughts right now as to why this dynamic is starting to happen. Um, I like to say there's nothing new under the sun. I mean, we had women who put on the wigs and the makeup in my day, but with this open surgery and all of this stuff, I think this is a mingling of regular culture in the sense of what they're seeing on television and on videos and trying to emulate that um, versus what is natural and reality.
Mm,
Uh, so I would really probably try to take a little better look at that scenario in order to give a proper answer and a proper understanding of what's going on. I do agree with you. I mean, somebody in my generation would rather see that being natural, but I was also cultured in naturality, 70s and 80s. We kind of was on the more natural side. It wasn't until this explosion of the 90s and early 2000 that I began to see all this other stuff. But again, I'm not of that younger generation. So I would really have to take a second look to give a proper answer to that social dynamic.
mm. Lady A brought up a good point. She just said no one sabotages women like other women. Wow. Only a handful of 304s hoes are winning in the short term.
Do me a
I
favor.
agree. Yeah.
Teach me what does because I've seen that terminology again. Language on YouTube is not the language I speak above YouTube.
Mhm.
Give me what is the definition of a 304? Because I've seen that before.
It's whole. It's whole. If you type in from how I used to get it,
Right.
it's if you type in 304 on a calculator and you flip it upside down, it says hoe.
Okay,
So
got
it's just a way of saying hoe without calling someone a hoe.
you. Okay, got
But
you.
yeah,
I mean,
sluts
that's good.
usually don't win
I
in the
told you
end.
I'm the old man on the block. So I gotta
No, you
learn. I gotta
good.
learn.
You good. Back in your day, they called them skeezers, scallywags. You
Got
dig? Jezebels.
Gotcha.
Um,
And the old term was the women that used to look like a booger bear is the one that's complaining. So that's for you young folks.
well, I appreciate both of you,
All right.
Japrice and Uncle Stu, coming up on here. I'm gonna wrap this thing up, and I'm gonna wrap this thing up. But before y'all go, I have to give y'all the joke of the morning because I usually do a joke of the day, but this is the morning. So I have to give y'all joke of the morning. Are y'all ready? Okay. Why did the rooster cross the road? Because the chicken was on vacation. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a great show this morning. I appreciate y'all being here. Um, Tune in. I'll be dropping more content later on today, but for now, I have to study. I appreciate everybody that came on. I appreciate, all the people that's watching so early and supporting so early. I appreciate it, y'all, man. For real, it means a lot. Make sure y'all go check out the Traveling Heartbeats channel. That is the channel that me and my lady have together, where we go on a trip once a month, whether it be a cruise or an all-inclusive resort. We travel this world. That is the Traveling Heartbeats. Y'all go to the Traveling Heartbeats YouTube channel.com. I would greatly appreciate it. And thank you for all the people that's watching this morning. So until next time, I bid you adieu. Have a good morning.
All right. Good morning. Thank you again.